Flying again over the streets of London, thousands of protesters marching through the streets. It's something that the president hasn't seemed to notice on this trip.
I don't see any protests. I did see a small protest today when I came, very small. So a lot of it is fake news, I hate to say. But you saw the people waving the American flag, waving your flag. It was tremendous spirit and love. There was great love. It was an alliance. And I didn't see the protesters until just a little while ago, and it was a very, very small group of people put in for political reasons. So it was fake news.
Richard Engel is there right in the heart of those protests. So what are you seeing? Are people who are saying that there are large protests there, in fact, propagating fake news?
Well, I think the president is trying to recreate events here. He is talking about this warm reception he received in the streets of London with people carrying American flags and welcoming him as the leader of the United States, which has this long special relationship with the UK. We frankly just didn't see that. Instead, we saw thousands of people who were out here denouncing President Trump, lampooning him, carrying humorous banners, flying the balloon of the baby Trump. There was a 16-foot statue that was being wheeled through the streets of the city in which President Trump was seated on a golden commode, a statue that spoke and said some of President Trump's more famous catchphrases, including, "I'm a very stable genius." So him to come out and try to tell the world that there were competing demonstrations, that the larger ones were out welcoming him to this city while there were just some small bust-in demonstrators put there for political reasons is just simply not true.
I want to play what the Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn said speaking to protesters. Take a listen.
I say to our visitors that have arrived this week, think on, please, about a world that is one of peace and disarmament, is one of recognizing the values of all people, is a world that defeats racism, defeats misogyny, defeats the religious hatreds that are being fueled by the far right in politics, in Britain, in Europe and the United States.
So just at the same time, is there something going on behind you, Richard? I don't want to stop you from being in the moment.
No, not at all. Just trying to keep a sense of what's going on here. What we are seeing is just a lot of rain and a lot of people moving around. But I think what's important, and you've discussed this with some of your guests, is why this is such an emotional and important time in the UK. This country is going through a historic change, a monumentous change, maybe one that is as big of a transition as happened with D-Day itself. This country, a few years ago, decided that it was going to engage in Brexit. It was going to Brexit. It was going to leave the European Union and strike its own path. And that has been a profoundly unsettling consequence for this country. And for the last 3 years, Theresa May has tried and failed to reach a deal. Now in this state where they don't really have a government, they don't know if they're going to go through with this Brexit, and if so, how. President Trump arrives with the state visit. He's feted by the Queen and feted by the royal family. He talks about offering the UK an alternative trade deal that would say, yes, go ahead and leave the EU. The US will be there as the UK's savior. And that makes people here very, very nervous. They're worried about leaving the EU and throwing their lot in with President Trump.
All right. Thanks so much. Appreciate that. Richard Engel in the streets of London. NBC's Bill Neely is outside 10 Downing Street. Also here is Tom Swarbrick, a former advisor to Theresa May, along with Ambassador Nicholas Burns, the former U.S. ambassador